What's up, listeners? Welcome to another episode of Full Stack Agency, where we talk about all things high level. I'm your host, Beant Singh, founder and CEO at Extendly, and today I'm being joined by who is known as, at least in my opinion, a superstar to high levelers. He's helped hundreds and hundreds of high levelers in the space and helped them even overcome their launch processes as well. So we're going to be talking about churn with him and exactly how marketing agencies can utilize tools and software and maybe even high level to prevent churn within their businesses. I'm going to go ahead and welcome our guest for today, Mr. Charles Higgins with Pinnacle AI. Charles, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me on. That's quite the introduction there, Beyond. I'm happy to be here.
You deserve it.
Well, I appreciate that. Happy to talk about this. This is a topic very near and dear to my heart. Anybody that's ever heard me talk before knows I am all about churn. So looking forward to our conversation.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you absolutely deserve it because I've personally have, the pleasure to work with you and we've known each other for quite some time now and have seen how you help people in the space, other businesses, even though they're competitor of yours, you don't mind still helping them as a human being, helping them get their businesses off the ground. And that's that's so great of you to be in there every day.
I love it. Anything I can do to help someone else in their journey, help them, avoid a few roadblocks, hitting some walls that maybe I hit. More than happy to pass the learning along.
That's fantastic. So, Charles, we're going to be talking about churn today, and I wanted to start off with talking about marketing agencies in general offering services, whether they're paid ads, they're SEO, they're social media agencies, or any of the different number of ways that they offer their services to end businesses, to their clients, to help them. Right. Generally, traditionally, we see that there's, about a 90-day, maybe a 6-month at the most, client churn problem with these marketing agencies where they just cancel. They're generally higher ticket, 14, $1,500, $1,000, $3,000, $4,000 as well, depending on the services being offered. And then businesses, a lot of times, are just not able to see the value, or they see too much of the value. But either way, whether the business is doing well or the business is not doing well, they question everything and they end up canceling, right? So wanted to chat with you about that and see what your thoughts are about marketing agencies continuing to rely on that business model moving forward with them as well.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Let me tell you, and I've been on both sides of this. I've been the supplier and I've been, the client in this perspective. And it is so tough. As a marketing agency, you do the best that you can of creating an offer and a system and a process or, services that best align with your client's needs. The disconnect initially usually starts in the disconnect of what you're saying and how that customer is actually receiving it and what their interpretation of it is. I was just on a call literally right before I got on here, one of the Extendly calls I was on, and we were talking about this very thing. Someone brought up the position of offering leads to their clients as part of their offer. And I said, whoa, slow down. Because, depending on your experience, leads is going to mean something totally different to everyone you talk to, whether it's just contacts in your database or, leads, that means more customers and more revenue. Well, you can't guarantee that. There's no way to guarantee that. And that's where a lot of that churn comes in, is that you're trying to sell a service or a product that you really can't guarantee delivery on in one aspect or another. And there becomes this disconnect. And that's where it starts. And, working with some massive companies, I worked for Cox Automotive, Ford Direct, Toyota, and they know their marketing. They've got way more data than any of us small guys do. I can promise you that. and they have a lot more first party sources. They still can't guarantee it. Even with first party data, they can't guarantee it. And you end up in the cycle where you're offering a service, say Beant and I are both offering the same exact service. I sell, 500 leads a month for X amount of dollars. They're happy, they're getting some results, but then here comes Beant. I'll get you 500 leads for the same price or less, but mine are going to convert better. They will simply cancel you just to go try out the other guy. There's no
Yeah,
loyalty to it whatsoever. And you see this when you're in it long enough, you see this vicious cycle of people coming in, leaving to go to a competitor, maybe going to another competitor, and then coming back to you. It's wild. People will
absolutely.
just keep rotating through providers, and it's just a vicious cycle that you can't really get out of.
Yeah, so providers is, competitors, peers. That's one challenge that the agencies have to deal with, and then the other is this hamster wheel of always needing to bring in more customers because the labor side of delivering that service is also quite high as well, right? You need talented folks, or either you're in-house or you're outsourcing some of the services to another white label provider that's providing the services. Either way, there's a lot of significant cost involved, and when there's high level of cost involved and profit margins are thin, you're relying on consistently being able to bring in customers when there's that churn problem of people also canceling you after a few months as well, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that in business, I think the business becomes very unpredictable. How do agencies really deal with that on a day to day? I mean, what are like the stress levels here? What is
Oh,
the
the
yeah, yeah,
stress is
what
high.
are the feelings here of a business owner, an agency business owner,
Well, and it's
living
so
day to day?
funny. Like you and I talk to new agencies all the time, and we're always constantly talking about getting that first five clients or 10 clients. Set reasonable goals. Well,
Right.
as you get into that journey, if you're a marketing agency, okay, let's say you're starting off with a reasonable goal, five. You're in it for 3 or 4 months. Okay, let's move up our monthly goal to 10, 15, 20. Now you have to look at how many. That's great if you're not losing any clients. But when you start losing clients every single month, which once you get to that 6 months to a year in, you're going to start seeing clients leave every single month. Now that 10 goal or 20 goal, you have to tack on to that everybody that you're churning. And, traditional marketing agencies, churn is through the roof. I mean, it is anywhere from 40 to 60% churn. It's crazy. So if your goal is 10 every month, but you're churning 40 to 60%, I mean, that's 4 to 5 addition. Now your goal is 14 to 15 just to get back to where you were, plus the additional 10 that you're trying to grow. And the bigger you get, the bigger this number gets. And what if you're not able to close 10? What if you're doing everything you can just to get 10 new clients? Well, all you're really ending up with is five. And so
Right.
you're always chasing the next customer. You're not able to, you're constantly running. You can't ever take a breath. You can't ever stop and just relax. And that is super stressful. A lot of us get into this because we want a better lifestyle. We don't want to be working 24/7, 7 days a week. I mean, it's just we don't want that kind of work lifestyle. We want to be able to spend more time with our family and friends and go on vacations and do the things that we want to do in our lives. Well, if you're constantly churning clients, you're not going to have that opportunity. And
Yeah.
that's the hard part about it.
Yeah, I think people get into this. I'm just going to say a vicious cycle. Maybe it's too harsh, but people look at this laptop lifestyle and the 4-hour work week that a lot of folks talk about out there. Maybe they've achieved it at their level after a lot of grind. They definitely didn't get to it right out of the gate, and that makes the newer folks that are entering the business and or venturing into this and want to expand into it, have unreasonable expectations, and perhaps they beat themselves down for it because they see some guy who's talking about working 4 hours work week, and having this laptop lifestyle, enjoying it on a beach and posting pictures on social media and stuff like that. And then you're over here like, what the heck? I'm in here day to day. I've got 10 customers and it feels like I'm an employee of theirs,
Right.
right? They call me all the time. And all I've done is created my own, perhaps 9 to 5, to be or maybe 24 hours for 10 of these customers instead.
Yep.
I call them customers because they pay us some money, but I'm really their employee, right? How do people really get out of that? And what is your advice for them? And I know you've been on that side as well. So how
Yeah.
did you, if you want to expand on that, how did you get out of that? And what did you employ um, to
Yeah,
use today?
I think for me, when I started on the SaaS side, I didn't want to be in that grind. I didn't want to always be chasing customers and worrying about every knick-knack thing that was going on in their business because it might affect them staying on board with me. I wanted something that was a lot more stable, something that I could, do the work in, not a 4-hour work week, but actually,
Yeah.
I knew it was going somewhere. It wasn't just, trying to keep the bucket full. I wanted it to keep growing. And so as I started, I wanted to create a system and a process that was easily replicatable. I wanted something that I could repeat over and over and over again. I wanted to get a nailed down process and offer, but then also remove as many risk factors as possible. I wanted to rely less on how that business was performing or how their employees were performing. Are they answering the phone? Are they following up with customers? I'm sending them leads, but they're not reaching out to them. All those things I have no control over. I say it all the time. I did not want to hinge the success of my business on the success of someone else being able to properly manage their business.
Hmm,
And that
that's
was a
good.
big thing for me. I did not want to. I'm sorry that you can't keep your salespeople under control and make them follow up. That is not my problem.
Right.
That was the approach that I wanted to be able to have. And so when I started, I set that as my ground floor. This is what I'm going to build off of. And I just built systems and processes around that to make sure that I mitigated those risks as much as possible. I removed, those things that I can't control, that they didn't interact with my offer in any way, shape, or form. And ultimately, that led me to SaaS, just simply
Yeah.
selling the software as a service instead of, this cat and mouse game of here's this lead. Now, are you going to get your cat to chase it? Or, am I just going to keep feeding you mice all day, do nothing with it? So,
Right, right. Those are some good points there. There's this concept that we hear from marketing agency owners, and perhaps the flip side of it from the businesses is that everybody complains about your leads are not good enough. Your leads, your leads suck, right? That's
yep.
that's the terminology that gets thrown out there constantly, and whenever a marketing agency owner hears that, their take on that generally is, well, no, did you follow up? Just like what you said, right?
Yep.
I didn't want to be in that business where I had to chase you to tell you how to run your business, and have your sales team members actually be following up on those leads. Well, did you actually follow up on this? Did you call them? Did you talk to them? Or did they just sit there and you did nothing? Majority of the people do nothing. So you touched up on the SaaS part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that's the solution to
Right.
this problem, right? So if you're able to drive leads, you need something to follow up, and if you can't rely on the business team members, the operations and management to actually the sales folks to do the follow up, what do you do? How do you do the
Yeah.
setup?
And I think this goes. So I'll go back to like my first 10, 15 clients, I came from automotive. I knew that industry. I had a reputation in that industry. So like I tell everyone, I went back where I came from because I already had people knew me there. I didn't start off in a whole new industry trying to talk to people I didn't know. So I went back
Mhm.
there for my first 10 to 15 clients. But a lot of people are chasing a lifestyle, or they're chasing a way that they want to work. Doesn't mean that that's what their boss wants, but that's what they want. They want to work a certain way. They want to do X and get Y. And
Yeah.
so I went after automotive sales representatives. I would go to dealerships, talk to these salespeople. And one thing I knew from 20 years in the business was that salespeople are flipping lazy. They're horrible. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to do any follow up. They just want people to come in the door and say, "Hey, sell me a car." That's it. That's all they want. They want to do as little as possible for as much pay as possible. I'm not going to change that mindset. I'm not all of a sudden
Generally
going to
the
get them
case.
to do more work. So I just
Yeah.
embraced it. I built, if you want to call it a snapshot. And, this was early days of HighLevel. We definitely did not have what we have now, but it was just pipeline stages with some automated emails, text messages, and ringless voicemails that were all super generic. And all of it was
Automations.
based on automations. That's it.
Yeah.
My whole pitch was that, hey, let's face it. I know you're lazy, and at the end of the day, you know you're lazy. You don't want to do follow up. I get it, but your manager is screaming at you that you have got to do better follow up.
Do your
Here's my
job. Yeah.
solution. I want you to keep what you want. I'm not trying to
Uh-huh.
get you to change. All I need you to do is the initial outreach. Just do the first phone call, email, and text message. After that, move them in the pipeline stage that says not contacted. From
Can
there,
you at
it'll
least do
be
that?
all automated until they
Right.
either buy, die, or opt out. So, for the rest of your career in automotive, this system will keep following up with them every single week, multiple times a week, via different communication channels until they essentially reactivate themselves. And said, now, this is not going to get you more sales overnight.
Hmm.
This is a big part of it, setting the expectation. You
Right.
have to set realistic expectation. And I tell them, say, look, this is not going to get you more sales. It's not going to get you more appointments overnight. What will happen is in about 90 days, if you put every single opportunity in here, in about 90 days, your pipeline is going to get full to the point where you will automatically start having people reactivate automatically. They'll automatically start setting appointments, and you'll have this steady pool of people that are just reactivating themselves from this long-term follow-up process. And those are your new appointments. And as long as you keep putting people in, people will keep coming out. And the more you put in, the more will come out. It's just simple math. And all you have to do is the first outreach. The system does everything else. Wouldn't you know, in 3 to 4 months,
Hmm.
they saw 3, 4, 5 people come out. They're like, I haven't talked to these people in like 90 or 180 days. Where the heck they come from? And they started putting even more people in there because they learned the process worked. And it
Yeah. Once
wasn't
you see the
promising anything
results.
that I couldn't deliver on. I didn't expect them to all of a sudden start changing who they were. I built a process that fit their needs for where they were at and where I knew they were going to stay at. And
Yeah.
so in that regard, I had no churn. Why would you churn? If you didn't have to change anything and you just had to kind of follow the same process, not do as much work, which is what you wanted, your
Right.
manager's not yelling at you, and you've got people just showing up out of the woodwork, why would you churn? But there was no promise of, I'm going to get you more leads. No, this was all using stuff they already had. These were people that they were already talking with. I didn't provide leads. It was just a process. It was a system. It was the software doing the work. That was it.
So
And
the software that you provided.
yep, through the software provided, they were able to have an automated system where they could just put their customer in, do that initial outreach, and then forget about it until next thing you know, they've got an appointment scheduled
So
for no apparent reason.
what you really offered was a solution to the laziness of the
Hmm.
sales rep, right?
Yep.
And offer them perhaps an added convenience, to do the thing that they didn't want to do themselves, which is follow up,
Right.
the constant follow up. They didn't want to have to remember, it's been 10 days, I haven't reached out to this customer. It's been 30 days. Let me call them, let me text them, let me email them. You had a system that was doing all of that for you.
Right.
And to our audience, to listener, if you're listening to this, what Charles just described is a software called HighLevel. If you haven't tried HighLevel, go ahead and visit gohighlevel.com/try. It's an all-in-one platform that lets you build these automations in the manner that Charles just explained. This is one small piece of automation that Charles was able to build for his particular use case of the sales rep. There's many more things it's able to do. Go ahead and check it out at gohighlevel.com/try, or stay here. We're going to talk more about HighLevel and how you, as a marketing agency owner, can employ that and reduce your churn that we're talking about as well. So, Charles, expectation is a big one, and I heard you mention that I wanted to set expectations first. Because what I also see a lot of marketing agency owners, which causes churn as well, is not set proper expectations or set poor expectations, where the mindset of the buyer, the customer, the business owner, generally in a sales pitch is that all of a sudden they're going to activate some, big thing. They're going to press some switch and I'm going to get a bunch of customers, right? And my sales are going to skyrocket. And everything's going to be, beautiful. Unicorns are going to be flying, and business is going to be thriving.
Yeah.
That's generally not the case, right? And even if it is, even if they do such a great job for somebody, it takes time to get there. And you mentioned, which I loved about what you just said there, that I set proper expectations, more realistic expectations, that you're not going to get a bunch of customers from day one, but you will eventually. So let's touch on that a little bit. How do you think marketing agency owners go wrong on setting those expectations? What can they do to do a better job there? And how have you done that in your business?
Yeah, I think, it really is about setting expectations. And if you're going to go down the marketing route, if you're going to offer services, protect yourself. Understand what you can control and what you cannot control. And don't put the success of your offer or your business in the hands of someone else that you have no control over. But, if you're going to be offering SEO services or, we'll call them leads, email marketing, things like that, you can do that in a sense that you really have to set the expectation. Look, SEO, this is going to be a bill, just so you know, we're going to do all this stuff. But this is going to be a bill that you're going to pay on for about a year or two to see a very marginal result in the end, but it will keep you up with your competitors. Set the expectation. I'd much rather someone sign up. I'd rather sign up less people that understand that expectation than sign up more with a fluffed up expectation of, oh yeah, this is going to make you, number one of Google. And listen, that most likely is not going to happen anytime soon. And it takes a lot of money and a lot of time to do that. And I think, it's just I see this on the SaaS side as well. Just because you're offering SaaS, it's also in how you present it. I present the entire HighLevel solution. We'll take it from when I first started to what I'm doing now. I offer the entire solution from HighLevel. And I have a snapshot that everybody gets the same exact snapshot, which is basically just a fancy way of saying a pre-built package of systems and processes and, funnel pages and different things that are in the platform itself. But my expectation that I'm setting for them is that I'm only selling you software. This software in of itself is not going to get you more leads. It is not going to get you more appointments. It's not going to get you more reviews. It's not going to do any of that. Now, you may say, Charles, well, HighLevel has an automated review tool. How in the world couldn't you say that you can't get them more reviews? Well, because I don't know if they do good business or not, for one. Maybe they don't. Maybe they piss a lot of their customers off. Again, that's not in my control. The other part of it is, what if no single employee actually asks a customer for a review? I can make it as simple as I can. I can give them QR codes. I can paint the walls with QR codes. But if they don't ever ask, they're probably not going to get that many more anyways. So again,
Yeah.
I don't base anything off of something I can't control. Now, what I do tell them is a CRM system. What you put in is what you're going to get out. If you use the system and you run your company from this platform, you will get better results over time. And that's important, over time. This is not going to happen overnight. Don't expect this to happen in a week or a month even. 3, 6 months, 9 months down the road, you will start to see that trickle event of where all these things are starting to come together. You're finding your business run smoother. You're closing gaps and you're creating better efficiencies within your own business. And now you're able to scale your business. And guess what? Clients like that. They like transparency. They
That's
don't
good.
mind having to wait on a result as long as they know what they're waiting for, as long as they have that expectancy set appropriately. But when you start saying, oh, we're going to get you more appointments, we're going to get you, okay, well, appointments are great, but what if nobody shows up? Or what if they don't buy? Again,
Hmm.
I don't want to hinge my success off of that. And so I set that expectation as cleanly as possible from the viewpoint of it's what I can control, nothing more.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And I think, having those type of expectations set in place would also reduce the stress levels on
Oh
the
yeah.
the agency business owner, and not have to have them worry about all the time that I'm not delivering the results that I promised these guys. And because you obviously see, a bunch of those guarantees, we either do this or you don't pay type of offers, right? And so if it reduces the stress level, it's actually a churn driver.
It is.
Expectations alone is a churn driver, right? If you set wrong expectations, the customer is about to churn faster if the results are not there. Now, if you set the right expectation that it's going to take time to get there, just in the example we talked about, but you will see more results for the longer the system is in place and it works, right? And now they're able to say, okay, you know what? I'm not canceling this thing in a month. Let's give it 3 months. Let's give it 6 months, and give it a period of time to actually try it out. And now you have that longer period to see the results. Now, if you're a good marketing agency, you're a good business, you're going to be able to deliver results on those expectations within that time frame, and you're going to keep your clients happy. Now, and then automations is another churn driver that you touched on earlier, where you're not relying on the sales rep to do the follow-ups on their own. You set a piece of software in place that's able to do that. And marketing agencies generally go and get the business owner to subscribe to a bunch of different softwares, because the traditional business owner, the business does not have these set up in place to be able to do the marketing, right? Whether it's Active Campaign, Bird Eye, this, that, and the other. There's several different software stacks that they put together, and then they get Zapier or Make involved to do all of the integration there. And now you've got anywhere from 400 or 500 to $1,000, maybe even more in some cases, of subscription costs that you, as a marketing agency, is likely not making anything on. They're just being passed on from the business owner to the whoever the company is that you purchase those subscriptions with, or the different companies that you purchase them with. Now we talked about HighLevel, and HighLevel flips that
Yeah.
for you, and it puts the marketing agency in charge. So HighLevel saw this as an opportunity and says, "Hey, the marketing agencies are already doing this. They're already suggesting and consulting with businesses and telling them to buy these subscriptions. What if, instead of them putting the money in some corporate's pocket, they were able to put that money in their own pocket?" And hence the white label version of HighLevel was introduced, the SaaS mode as well. You are a SaaSpreneur winner as well. So There we go. That hoodie, that SaaSpreneur hoodie looks amazing.
Yeah.
So you're a SaaSpreneur winner. You've been doing this, and you've helped hundreds of agencies get off of the ground, and you're coaching them on a regular basis as well. Like I said, although majority of them are your competitors, but you still go out of your way and do this out of the good of your heart, right?
Yeah.
What advice do you have to the marketing agency owner that's potentially not using, and why is the high level business so much better? And how are you doing in your business with that, if you're open to sharing?
Yeah. So HighLevel changed the game. I've been doing CRMs and data management systems since 2019, since they first started coming out. I remember when CRMs were a wall of Rolodexes. That's how long I've been doing this. And so HighLevel completely changed the game. And it was such an opportunity, when I saw it, I couldn't avoid the opportunity, and I couldn't stay away from it. And it's just because it's simplified so many things. And anybody that knows me knows I'm all about no nonsense. Let's keep it as simple and straightforward as possible. I do not like fluff. I don't like complications. I don't like any of that nonsense. I just don't. I like my life simple and quiet. And so
Yeah.
HighLevel, simplified so much, put it all in one platform, and provided me a way to offer that to my clients. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a system to where my clients could leverage different tools, whether it was automations or websites or funnels or text messaging, Facebook messaging, and have it all in one place, because I knew from the business side how complicated that can get when you've got this third party doing this and you've got another platform that's doing something else, and it gets so complicated. And trying to train, I mean, think about it from the business owner standpoint. You start implementing all these different tools, especially in a sales environment, in a retail sales environment. Retail sales has one of the highest churn rates of any industry. So all these tools that you're bringing into that business, what you're probably not thinking of is how much it costs your client to onboard a new employee and get them trained in all those different tools that they're forced to use now. Well, if I can simplify that by offering one unified platform and selfishly make a little bit of money on top of it for myself, why wouldn't I
Right.
do that? If I can
Absolutely.
combine all these tools, and not only that, you're able to do so much more because it is all in one place. How many times have we had to do double manual entry or triple manual entry because there was two things that we needed to use, but there was no way to connect them, and so it required a double data entry? And that's just inefficiencies. It just makes you look bad as an agency. It makes the customer frustrated, which leads to churn as well. And so by offering a unified platform where everything's already built into the platform, all these marketing tools, advertising tools, systems, and operating procedures are all in one place. Inherently, they all work together. So you're eliminating a lot of that frustration. And it just creates a much better cohesive environment for the client, and provides more holistic solution that you can offer.
So you're saying if a marketing agency is offering and consulting with a business, and it's telling them that, hey, we need to do email marketing, let's go ahead and get active campaign. We need to do reviews for you, so sign up for Bird Eye. We need to put a chat widget, so sign up for this third software. We need a CRM in place, so sign up for pipe. What is Pipeline Pro or something? What is that?
Pipe drive or
Five Drive.
yeah,
There we go.
yep,
So sign up for that software, right? So you've got a bunch of these, and we need funnels, and we need this, and we need that. So that's about 500, 600, $700 worth of monthly subscription. You're having them sign up on top of your own services, right? So what you're really saying is, instead of convincing them to go sign up for these because they're needed, and then you doing all of the work to do the setup, one by one on each one of those platforms without any, snapshots like you talked about, but like
Yep.
copying over an account and putting all the pre-built assets in there. You can sign up for HighLevel, put it under your own brand, and pay HighLevel a one-time subscription fee, because HighLevel's plans are for $497 per month. You're able to
Yeah.
white label it and have unlimited sub accounts, right?
It's
Meaning
crazy.
unlimited client
It's
accounts,
nuts. Yeah.
which means I can go out there and charge this customer, let's say $500 a month, right? Maybe even 300 a month or more if I wanted to charge more, whatever that amount is. Let's say $400 or $500 a month, and 100% of that from that customer goes into my pocket.
Yep.
And I get to improve my operational efficiency by having this thing called Snapshot, which is a pre-built assets, automations, and other things within the software that I can just snapshot over, copy over to this account, and that account is all set up.
Yeah. And what's so and I come from traditional software. So what used to take, sometimes 1, 2, 3 months to fully get set up,
Mhm.
flying out actual trainers and implementers to the physical business because they had to be on site because it was so complicated to get everything up and running. I can remember, working for Vin Solutions and us doing a bid, and maybe the monthly bill was like $2,500 a month for the CRM. And oh, by the way, we've got your onboarding, which is another, $5,000 for onboarding, because we have to fly a team of 2 to 5 people out to do your in-store activation, get everybody on staff trained, and it's this big long process, down to where I'm simply selling someone a platform, and within 24 to 48 hours they're logged in using the system. They've already started their onboarding process virtually. I'm not having to fly people out, put them in a hotel room, and all this other stuff. And like within a week, they're fully onboarded. They've gone through training, and they've got our support. They can ask any questions, and it's just, I mean, it's such a game changer, just from an
Wow.
implementation standpoint.
I think I'm about to coin a term right now, and I'm going to say that HighLevel is potentially the ultimate churn killer and the profit maker for marketing agencies.
Yeah,
Because if we're able to make that profit ourselves, right, by charging them instead of sending them to those other companies, and then if in case they cancel our services, our marketing services, they still get to pay the subscription on the software because they're using it inside their business
correct.
to still run the operations, which means I get to, maybe instead of charging them $1,500 for the services and $500 for the software, where that client was worth $2,000 to me, now they've canceled the $1,500 after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever time period, but they're still paying the $500 a month on the subscription fee, which is still coming to me. And majority of that 500 is profitable and is really low level work, where
Oh yeah,
the marketing services were high level, higher involvement of performing tasks. This is a piece of software inside their business, installed, activated, running. They're already using it, and it's just working for them. So
well, and
the
that's,
ultimate churn killer and the profit
yeah.
maker
I,
is
I
HighLevel.
mean, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier: stress. If you're able to, and there's nothing wrong with offering high ticket services. I think you absolutely should, but you're saying, if you can package that with a software offering that is kind of just common sense, like why wouldn't you stay on this platform that no matter what is always increasing your MRR, your monthly recurring revenue, and that's the stability part. But
Right.
and it's funny, I talk with a lot of agencies every day, and most of my day is not spent running my business. Most of my day is actually helping other people start and run their agencies, and perfect their agencies. But one of the things that often gets said is that when I grow up, I want to be like Charles. And it's not because I'm making a ton of money or like it has
That's
nothing to do
awesome.
with monetary, it has nothing to do with number of accounts. It's because I have the time to do what I want, which is help other people. I love helping other agencies, but they always comment on how relaxed I seem, no matter what is going on, no matter what changes high levels made or what's happening in the market or how local businesses are doing. I am always cool as a cucumber. Um, I'm fine. Hey, today's a wonderful day. Let's go. And that's what SaaS brings you because my churn is low, because I have one system. If I have a problem, I know who I can go to. I'm not having to go chase down different companies. I have one company to deal with, HighLevel. That's it. That's my
Right.
software provider. And since I have all this profit that is coming back into my business, because like you said, I'm only paying HighLevel $497 a month for this incredible
Right.
platform that I can give to as many businesses as I want. And now I have all this profit coming back in, which was provided me the opportunity to reinvest in my business in ways that would lower my churn even more because most of our money is not spent in advertising. We don't worry about advertising. Why? Because
Hmm.
we don't ever lose clients. I don't have to go chasing
Ah,
clients every single month or every
all the
week
time.
because I'm not losing them. So my advertising cost is really next to nothing. I run an affiliate program, but that's it. I don't do any paid advertising. Never have. I don't have a need for it, but I'm able to reinvest a lot of that money back into support, back into onboarding and training resources, things that will really button up the software side to make sure that they fully understand what they've bought into and give them the resources to go out there and do it themselves within the platform. I want to empower my clients. That relieves even more stress for me. The more I empower my clients by offering them onboarding, support, training materials, online courses where they can learn how to operate the system and adapt it for their own business needs themselves, that's even less that I have to worry about now. That's less stress on me as the provider of the software because now they're not looking at, our sales are down. We need to run an email campaign. Can you help with that? No, I want to empower them to where they can make those choices when they need to make them and they can pivot quickly in their own business. I'm empowering that business. I'm not making them come. I don't have a messiah complex. I do not need them to come to me for every little thing they need. So, I
You
want to
want them. You
empower
want them to
them.
run it on their own.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah, I want
yeah.
to empower them to be able to run their business the way that they want to run their business, how they
Yeah.
want to run their business. And that's all I'm setting out to be. And it just all those little things end up to reducing your churn more and more and more and more. And you and I have talked about this on other calls. It's been brought up in webinars. My churn rate last year we averaged in 2025 we averaged 2.7%.
Wow.
That's insane. It doesn't happen.
That is
Um,
insane.
but that's because I'm setting expectations very clearly. I'm not over promising, under delivering. I'm empowering my customers. I'm reinvesting back into the business to provide them the resources that they need, whether it's onboarding, support, training materials. And I'm just staying true to my offer. I'm not trying to pitch this white, rabbit that they're never going to catch. I want to give them something that they can tangibly take a hold of, empower themselves with, and grow their business.
And the base of your business is high level,
That's
which
it.
high level
Yeah.
spends millions of dollars on development,
Yeah.
and you're paying $497
Yeah.
to have the same exact
Yeah.
software.
I've got the cheapest development team out there. Let me tell you, I've got over 1,000 developers, and I only pay $500 a month to them.
Wow,
Isn't that
that
great?
is that is a
I mean, that's
business
the
model of a
reality of it.
century.
That's the
That is a
reality of it.
reality.
And
And and I just want to unpack as we close off this episode for our audience what Charles just mentioned, and the whole topic around churn. and why marketing agencies have such a high churn and why they're always chasing more customers. And where Charles is, like he said, cool as a cucumber, right? And is not worried and doesn't even market or actively advertise. He has an affiliate relationship with people that bring in customers to him as well. And he spends more time on helping other businesses than inside his own business is stability.
Yeah.
Churn, low churn equals stability, low stress versus high churn is high stress and constant chasing of customers. So Charles has found a perfect way to have a stable business with HighLevel and having the lowest cost dev team and only paying them $500 a month, running the entire business on that platform, handing it over to the businesses, and so they can run with it and constantly use the software as well, with a 2.7% average churn rate in 2025. Charles, I think that's a proud moment, and something you must be really, really proud of, because that stability brings you great amount of joy and happiness in business.
Oh yeah, it does. And it's great because for me, every decision I make in my business, are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Do we need this training material? Or do we need that? I go back to one question: will it affect my churn? That is the only thing that matters to me. Is I want to see how low I can get my churn. Now, it's going to be pretty darn impossible to get lower than 2.7, but
Yeah,
I'm going for 2.5 this year. It doesn't sound like a big change, but when you get in those small numbers, that's a lot.
right.
But that's really what it's all about. Is every decision I make, I look at, okay, if I can reduce churn, because that's the multiplier. The lower I get that number, the greater the outcome of everything else. The happier my clients are, the more services and systems that I can provide to my clients, because I have this stable platform. You can't build a house without a foundation. You can't put a roof on a house if you don't have stable framing. If the framing's all whack and out of place, then that roof's not going to stay on. And so every decision I make is all about the churn. Is this going to lower my churn? Even if it's only by 0.5% or 0.25%, I don't care. If it's going to contribute to that, all that's doing is shoring up my house even more. And that allows me to build on a new addition, to build an additional floor. Forget the roof, let's build an additional floor. But I have to build that stable foundation, that stable first floor of my business, and create this system and environment that is super stable. And not only do I enjoy it, not only do my kids enjoy it, but my clients enjoy it. Everybody benefits from this, not just yourself, but everybody around you benefits from this, because your whole life changes and I'm not talking about the 4-hour work week and all that. It's just a mentality thing. It is a comfort knowing that, hey, every month I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, $100,000 a month coming in monthly recurring revenue. And even if I'm at 100, 110 this month, I'm averaging 2.7. Okay, well, that still puts me way ahead of the game. And
Right.
I know on average, with no advertising, I'm still picking up, who cares how many clients? 3, 4, 5. You don't have to go searching for a ton of clients, because you're not trying to replenish all the ones that you're losing either. So
Right.
now you have these super achievable goals, and you're not so worried about growing your MRR, growing your client base so fast. Now you can actually take a breath, relax, and say, you know what? I'm okay if I only get 3 to 5 this month.
Yeah,
I didn't lose anybody. So, it's
that's
just
right.
more revenue. And that's a great feeling to have. And it's nice to be able to, I say I'm not involved in the daily operations of my business, and I'm really not. My business has gotten to a point where, I've I've relied so heavily on the SaaS infrastructure that it has afforded me the ability to spend time outside of my business, coaching and consulting people, jumping on calls, just hanging out, answering questions. And if I want to take off for a week, I can take off for a week. I might have a few people ask me where the heck you been. Usually colleagues, not customers, because but it's a wonderful feeling to be able to have that stability. But it all goes back to churn. The lower anything you can do to lower your churn, the better off you're going to be. Not only in your business, but in your personal life and in your family life. It's going to affect a lot. So yeah,
I agree. I agree. I think that stability, the stability that churn or lower churn brings us to our businesses has a huge ripple effect
yeah,
across our team members, across our own personal lives, across the ability to be able to exit that business one day or a large multiple as well, and giving you time back, giving you the ability to be able to work on the business versus in the business,
yep.
right? So you can improve the business more, you can push the business forward more, and or you can just sit back and relax. If you don't have the ambitions to, I want this to be a multi-billion-dollar company, and you're happy where you're at, sit back and relax. Enjoy time because you built a golden goose for yourself. That's laying an egg on a regular basis. And what are golden gooses worth? A lot of money, I would
Oh
assume,
yeah,
right?
oh yeah. Love my golden gooses.
There we go. Charles, thank you so much for being on
Absolutely.
the show today and talking to us about churn. And you are a wealth of knowledge. I appreciate every single moment that I've had to spend with you and the hour or so that you shared here today. Really, really appreciate it. Charles, where can people connect with you if they want to reach out and get more help?
Well, I tell you what, they
If you're
can.
available to help.
I'm always available. But no, they can go to the nexushub.club. Nexushub.club. You can find a ton of resources that I offer for free to all agencies out there. Tons of information, and
Nice.
then you can learn about our community, or just join a high level town hall. You will probably see me in one of those. I'm always in the high level town halls. That's where a lot of people get to meet me and for the first time. But you'll see me around. Just jump in anything high level related, you'll probably run into me. So
And if there's people that are watching our episode for today and they're not on high level already, what would you say to them?
I would say that you are definitely costing yourself money and time and stress. And just take a leap of faith. For someone that came from traditional software, came from traditional marketing and advertising, this will be a game changer for you. I promise you that. And if you have any questions, there's a huge community of people, not only myself, but a huge community of people that are more than happy to help in any way they possibly can help you achieve your goals.
There you go. You heard it from a man who is in the weeds and experienced himself in using high level for a number of years, not somebody who just started 30 days ago and is raving about the software. But so if you haven't started, go ahead and check out gohighlevel.com/try and feel free to connect with Charles as well should you have any needs. We will see you in the next one. Thank you. Take care.